Dominating the Weald of Kent and overlooking what was the main road from Maidstone to Winchelsea, the ruins of this small Norman keep, built in the second half of the 12th century by the Count of Almail, Baldwin de Bethune, are all that remains of what was once an impressive castle. Sutton Valence Castle was owned from the year 1238 by Simon de Montfort, who led the English barons in revolt against King Henry III. Although de Montfort and his followers would ultimately meet a grisly end for their challenge to the king, de Montfort and the barons did have some, if rather brief, measure of success in diminishing Henry's rightful power. Following the capture of King Henry and his son Prince Edward and others loyal to the king, de Montfort effectively ruled the country for a year as de facto prime minister, enacting decrees in the king's name, but not by his consent. Prince Edward managed to escape de Montfort in May of 1265, a year after his capture, and together with the Welsh Marcher lords, who were allied to the king, the royalist forces struck back at de Montfort, eventually defeating him at the Battle of Evesham on the 4th of August 1265. Now restored to the throne, King Henry, as a reward to his half-brother, William de Valence, gave him de Montfort's castle. The castle stands above the village of Sutton, meaning South Town, and since Valence's occupation has become known as Sutton Valence Castle. Household accounts for the castle from the late 13th century show that the de Valences travelled constantly between their estates and lands. Following the death of William in 1296, his widow, Joan de Valence, spent much of the following year travelling between the family's estates and lands. By 1307 the castle had passed to one of William and Joan's children, Aymar de Valence. However, the only record of Aymar as having stayed at the castle is from a brief time in 1315. Aymar de Valence, like his father, was very much involved in affairs of state and was close to the new king, Edward II. Although the castle had a succession of wealthy owners in the century after Aymar's death, it nevertheless fell into disrepair and by the 15th century had become a ruin.